I've got to manage myself, I've got to manage my mind. The task is not easy, but to high heights I climb.
I'm determined to succeed, so no excuses, please. If you don't want success in life, then don't hinder me. Yes, let the whole world know. A CEO. You are a CEO. I'm a CEO. You are a CEO. I'm a CEO. The time is here to celebrate. You are a CEO. You are a CEO. You are a CEO. You are a CEO. Yes, let the whole world know. The time is here to celebrate. Success is calling, so don't be late. You are a CEO.
Hello, everyone. Michael E. Parker, and it is another episode of COTV Live, and we are continuing with this series on work-related. This is part 2. We're talking about the pandemonium. And we had a wonderful show last week, and now we are going to go deeper into a discussion and really get some intimate details of how it feels to be going through this pandemonium as a person, as an entrepreneur, as someone in the service industry. It is one of the industries that's got hit in the hardest. And we know that there's so much out there that we hear about every day that is impacting the lives of so many. And so a few things I want to point out, as you can see here, there are so many right now in the restaurant industry, for example, that, have been so impacted by all of the changes. You can come inside, you can't come inside. You have to wear a mask, you don't have to wear a mask. You can eat outside. There's been so much weight that has been placed on the restaurant industry, for an example. And so this is just one of the examples. And then those that are doing nails and pedicures. In fact, sometimes this has been a separated industry that has had even more regulation and more focus because of some of the factors of the service that is involved. And so this is another industry that's been hit very, very hard. And then, of course, we know the salon industry, right? And we're going to talk a lot more about that later today. But again, the salon industry has been hit so hard. And you can see all over the country, people trying to figure out what to do. Even some people trying to now do hair outside. It's been complete pandemonium. Now, this is some footage of our first salon. This is kind of the opening area where you used to walk in. We started our salon some time ago, almost 17 years now, and just reminiscing when we first, got into this business. My wife and I and a host of critical core leaders, we came together and we started something special. And then I remember when we first, set up the salon, and this is so many years ago, and this is one of our first salons, and we started out on a journey. We were working to help people. We were working to, show people they could be beautiful, but also be cared for and come to a great environment. Then we moved to this location. And this is another location. We actually still have this location, and we were here for many, many years. And now, this is, one of the locations that we still maintain, but there was a time this is only where we were operating. And I never forget when we first saw those lights come on in the evening and we start to feel the presence of, this culture and this team coming to a new area. And we begin to do that. And I'm telling this story because, there's so much that people have put into their businesses that are being affected today. They've got journeys, they got stories, just like I'm telling you now. And then I remember, again, seeing all of the stations being set up, and this is when we turned all the lights out and kind of put some spotlights on the different areas. Make sure they get some full screen images of that I want y'all to see. Yeah, there we go. And even here, you can see when we first set up our kind of retail area and our front desk, and we start to really realize that now this experience was going to be showcased in this new environment. A lot of time, energy, money, effort, pain went into those things. Now, from there, I never forget the grand opening of our newest location. You can see here, this was some of the footage that's there with the mayor, and my wife there is happy as she used the big scissors and cut the ribbon. And the next thing you know, the lights came on again at night. We had another location, and these are 2 locations that we still have for Javant's. And so when Javant's start to ramp up and we got this area, set up, and you think about all of the energy. And, I just want to, say, for all the people who helped us to, be successful in this industry, all of our wonderful stylists, barbers, the people who helped us in construction we've got a construction team that's been with us for years, and without them, we just couldn't have done it. And so you think about anyone that's an entrepreneur, someone helped them. And I just want to take a minute to just thank everyone who has helped Javant's Salon and Barber and has been around this long succeed. And this is some footage of my barber, Brad the barber, and he, as you see him smiling there, he brings a smile to a lot of people when he's cutting their hair. He's always taking good care of me, and now he's growing even more as an entrepreneur. But to see the stories behind a business, it creates so many things that touches people's lives. And so when you think about all of this, I want to now take you into a discussion that I was able to have just moments ago with my lovely wife, Maya Parker, and we're going to talk about the inside scoop of what it is like in the service industry today, trying to survive the pandemonium. Hello, everyone. Michael E. Parker, and I am here in studio as promised with Miss Maya Parker, and you look lovely. It's good to see you.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Well, I first just want to say it's always a treat when I can bring you into my environment and you can be on the show here. But how do you feel to be in this environment right now?
How do I feel?
Yeah, how do you feel?
I feel out of my comfort zone, but it's a pleasure to be here.
Well, thank you. I know, because you're normally in a different environment, but it's always a treat to be able to bring you on and talk to you about real things. And we've been talking about, as you know, work-related, the pandemonium. Mm-hmm. I know your good friend Elizabeth was on our last show. Mm-hmm. I know you saw that. And, when you think about, I wanted to talk with you because you've been on the front lines in day-to-day, management of a salon. But before going into that, I want to just spend a little bit of time talking about you. Now, I know a lot about you, but I want to make sure our audience knows a little bit about you too. So say a little bit about your education background and kind of what your interests were academically before you got into the beauty industry.
Well, my background is health. So I got my health science degree a few years back. From there, I went into kind of the corporate world for a little bit, landed in public health, and worked there for a few years. Actually, that's where I met Elizabeth, my longtime friend. And then, ultimately landed with a health company where, we taught different beliefs on how to take care of yourself as a whole, exercise and different things like that, which I loved. And now I would have never imagined I'm in the beauty industry. So, but it is kind of correlated, because of, you can see the correlation with the people. Right. So still helping people, still with people, just kind of that whole space.
Yeah. Now I know, we started off with Javant's, guess almost 17 years or so ago now. And I know you were there through the whole thing. And I know that as a part of that and as a, someone that had so much involvement, how surprised are you that, because starting off, I remember when you were focusing more on health, and then later you were doing you were in more in the customer service aspect of Javant's, and then later you grew into managing the salon. But how surprised are you that you ended up in the salon industry? I know you didn't go to college and say that's what you was going to be doing, but how surprised are you that that's what happened?
I was extremely surprised. So I definitely wasn't expecting to be in a salon, especially for almost 17 years.
Right.
So that's where I've predominantly been. But I didn't think about it like that just because of, I guess you could say, the people aspect. So it was more my focus to build a team and work with the team and, work with people and making sure they were happy and, came and left feeling happy. So
Right.
that's the team and the clients.
Right.
So, yeah, I wouldn't have expected it at all, but it's been the most rewarding, I could say, in anything I've done.
Well, I really appreciate what you said about the aspect of being, the aspect of being some of the similarities between caring for people's health and then caring for people who, are concerned about how they look, but is very directly related to their mental health. And so do you see
It's
a
wellness.
connection there? Wellness,
It's
okay.
it's the whole person. So you can't, and this is, it's a cliche, but it's true, but you can't, look good if you don't feel good. You can't feel good if you don't look good.
Right.
So it's the whole person. And then there's a mental aspect to it that people don't really understand. But, when you get up and, you look at yourself in the mirror or, you see your skin, your hair, your body, of
Right.
course, that's a huge thing.
Right.
When that's all put together or in a place that makes you feel good, then you think differently.
Right.
You're more confident,
Right.
you feel better.
Right.
It just puts you in a different, then you want to take care of yourself better,
Right.
not just one area. So it's the whole person. And I think, you don't think about it like that. Sometimes it's just,
Right.
beauty and,
Right.
fashion because it goes there, it can go there.
Right.
But then there's also just the day-to-day, and, the maintenance and, just the care for
Yeah.
yourself.
So having said that, when you think about how it is that connection with wellness, and I can see how you could fit in that environment and still get a sense of joy from it because it's connected to what you love too. But let's talk about the team and the people you've had the pleasure of working with. Before getting into, we're headed toward the pandemic here in a minute, but just really briefly, tell me how the type of team that you've had the privilege to work with and to help build, in terms of trying to get everyone to work together. And then, the customer is also almost a part of our team in a sense because we work together to create that experience and we see them as an extension of it. But talk a little bit about that, the type of people you've been able to work with and the type of people it takes to have a good team.
Well, it's a variety of people, so all backgrounds of life, all ages. So, and when we first got started, it was, a certain group of people. It's evolved through the years, but I would definitely say, there's your millennials, there's your X generation, there's
Right.
your boomers. It's like everybody, and then there's all the different nationalities. And so,
And that's unique about Javance, right? Because it's so diverse,
Right.
In terms of not only the team, but the type of hair they can do, the people they serve. It's
Very
another
diverse.
critical point, yeah.
and then to try to have everyone all work together, that was a major feat. But it was kind of the mission, if you will, the goal to get all those different, personalities, all the different backgrounds, ages, everything for us all to work together. So, down to, what product line we're all going to agree on, what is our schedules going to be, even what is the temperature in the
Yeah.
salon going to be. That
Yeah, that's a big one.
it's so many layers to it.
Yeah.
And then everybody brings so many different things to the table.
Right.
And so some, they've had to kind of let things go or not hold to it. And then others had to take on new things that they never would have done before,
Right.
just for the good of the team
Right.
and the
Right.
good of the customer. But
Yeah.
to create that culture, it took a lot of years, I would say, and a lot of sacrifice, with the ones there to date.
Right.
And I feel like we had finally got to a place where it was that connect and, seamless. So it was rewarding.
Well, no, that's very good. And I want to come back to that a little bit later. But let's fast forward to the day we heard about this pandemic. And, we saw stuff happening in China, then there was random things happening in the United States, and there was, it just kept getting worse and more, and you didn't know really what to expect. Then all at once it turned to a shelter in place, shut everything down, salon industry, no one can work, a mandate. How did you feel when you first heard that it wasn't optional anymore? We had to close down and stop working in Javance.
Yeah. It didn't seem real. Like it seemed like it was just kind of, I don't know the best way to explain it, like a movie kind of happening around you. At first I didn't think we would shut down. I just didn't think that would really be the case. So when it was definite that we were gonna need to shut down and the mandate was given,
Right.
The first thought, honestly, that came to me was, is everybody going to be okay? So there's the whole team, they have to work, there's not a lot of reserves that they have. It's the type of job it is, it's a manual labor, it's based on the clients that you see. That's how you earn your income every day. Right. So I was concerned that everybody, is going to be okay. What is the length of time through this? What does this mean? It was so many unknowns.
Right.
But my biggest kind of worry, I would say, or weight that I was carrying was each of the team members. How were they going to land from here?
Right.
And then, of course, I started thinking about the clients, because that's major.
Yeah.
Some of the clients are coming every week. Right. Every other week, for, their different hair needs. There's some that are, really extreme. They might not have hair. They might have, different things that they need to come to the salon.
Right,
They haven't done it outside of there.
Right.
That I knew that would be coming down the pike soon too. Right. So just to kind of get control of it in my mind, and honestly, I couldn't. It was nothing that I could do, and so that made me feel more helpless than anything.
Right.
So.
Well, when you think about that, and I remember a lot of meetings, that we had to call together trying to figure out the laws, what was going on. There's the whole issue, unemployment. There's, how long is this closure going to last? Is it going to go away quickly? Is it going to be long? There's so many unknowns, and so when you kind of start to deal with all of the unknowns and you start dealing with, how do you handle feeling the stress of a team that you care for, but then feeling helpless that you can't really take that stress away? Because a lot of times as owners and as managers of something, as an entrepreneur, you carry that with you and you're trying to solve all the problems. But here's something where you feel the stress coming, but there's not much you can do. How have you handled that?
That I'm still handling that.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't go away. Because again, we're talking 16, 17 years of this being built.
Yeah.
So there's connections made. There's relationships that are stronger than just the coming to work every day. So I've always taken that home. It was very difficult in the beginning, I would say, because I felt like I wanted to try to do everything to make sure we didn't feel as, the hit, if you will. So there was so much research that was done, looking into, other options. You had Alexandria on here, which she was a wealth of information, which was just like perfect timing.
Yeah.
Just trying to understand. And then in our industry, there's all the layers of safety and sanitation to make sure that we were on top of. So I'm worried about, state board, what is that going to be? Cal OSHA, CDC, public health, all those different mandates. Would we even be able to start this thing again, based on the type of the business that we did? So, will there be a Javance?
Yeah.
So I did carry all of that from, A to Z, just trying to figure. But I did, I honestly have to say, there was a point in time where I just kind of had to stop and kind of disengage or disconnect, and rest in knowing that it would be okay. So because mentally it can take you to some places that a lot of it may or may not be true.
Right.
And what really can you do?
Right.
You can't do anything.
Right.
So that took time to get to that point, and then of course we started strategizing, having meetings for, different options.
Right.
Maybe we can do this or that, but a lot of background work went into trying to see, okay, if we do move forward, what could that look like?
And I want to jump into that a little bit. Let's talk about, because you're giving some intimate detail about, your personal experience in dealing with Javance. But let's broaden that a little bit now for just what entrepreneurs are dealing with right now, especially in the service industry. If you are now, because we went through the fact that we could open the business again, and now just recently we had to close again because of these mandates. But what are the new things now on entrepreneurs' mind in the service industry that have to be considered to move forward? Because there's, you kind of touched on some of them, but give me a little, and you've been, you were there when we kind of reopened, and some of the things we had to now do, some things we had to now install, repair. Give a little taste of, for people who may not know, of now what life is like trying to reopen in this environment and the things that entrepreneurs now have to consider, especially in the service industry.
Right. Well, the main thing, the whole social distancing. How in the world can you do that when you're working on the person?
Right.
So you're physically touching the person, and the mandate is to be socially distanced. So, and then there's others, that are there, in the space as well. How Javance was set up. It's like, station by station.
Right.
So just trying to, kind of reinvent and, figure, okay, what would be a way around what we were doing before to fit these new mandates. So, for instance, having a private room, or spacing out the stations better, putting up barriers like a plexiglass, thinking about every single thing that would happen from once that client enters the door to the time that they leave out the door.
Right.
Everywhere they would go, everything they would touch, even for the team, everywhere they would go, everything they would touch, even from, sanitation and safety, because we're already needing to do those things just from, state board requirements. But now it would level 10. When we opened the first day, when we reopened that first day, we were so nervous because it was just so unknown. And we were afraid we might get the virus.
Right.
Honestly, it's like, okay, we're going in, but we don't know how it's going to be, what it's going to be, what it's going to feel like. And we've been distanced for so long. So it was almost like when you saw the people, it was like, oh no, it was, it's almost like when you get in a car accident on the freeway.
Yeah, you have a little.
Yeah, there's some hesitance or anxiety there when you're trying to get back on the freeway and that whole thing. So it was really like that.
Right.
But after, we got in there and started getting a flow and, okay, temperature, okay, wash your hands, okay, every person wipe this down. And even the clients, when they saw like the barriers, the plexiglass, and
they feel safer.
Yes, and they felt like, okay, we're kind of all in this, and I don't just have to think about myself, like they're thinking about me as well.
Right.
But it's just a whole different world.
Now tell me about, I know there was a kind of a funny but not funny story, but I know that there was, when we kind of had reopened and got some things going, I think there was, I don't know, it was some young lady and a young man outside getting into some sort of dispute or something was going on, and they came running in Javant's. And right now, everything's on high alert, you know, with COVID-19. I mean, I think any of us that get the sniffles, we're like, COVID, this is COVID, you know, and you know, when times I was dealing with some really bad allergies and having symptoms that feel fluish and other things, I was taking my temperature. You heard that temperature thing beeping all through the house every 5 minutes, that's right. But tell me about what happened, because it's kind of interesting, but I could imagine how you all felt. Tell me about that story.
Well, I mean, and it was the first week we opened, so we're still kind of trying to get our bearings. And it was some sort of, you know, domestic dispute, you know, where the salon is located.
Right.
And so somebody tried to, the young lady tried to run into the salon, and a client had just come in, so the door was still unlocked, because we've locked the doors even, just for the safety.
Right.
So she ran in and came to the front desk and said, call the police, because, you know, I don't know, I think they're gonna kill me. Yes, and so the front desk person, I will not name any names in this story, but they said, you can call the police on your phone, but we're not calling the police. You know, you can do that on your own. So then the lady was left just kind of standing there looking, and then while she was standing there, one of the stylists came up and said, could you sanitize your hands?
That's right. That's right. That's right. And really,
so great.
That's how it is right now.
Because it's already it's like level 10 already, and you're totally, you don't even think the person, you think the safety, you know, and it's true, because look at everybody in there that could, you know, be impacted by that. So, but it was a little.
And hopefully, as far as we know, the young lady got you know, out of there. Someone came and picked her up. She was safe and everything.
She was good.
But it's just interesting. My point is just the heightened anxiety, and
it's totally,
you know, it's
anxiety.
But I know we're kind of out of time here, but I want to give me some final thoughts to entrepreneurs out there that, I mean, and you almost have to give these thoughts to yourself too, right? Because we're in a situation now where they close things back down again, and as entrepreneurs, we have to always dig deep, and we have to find that something to still keep believing. Because if you don't, there's a lot of things in entrepreneurship that'll knock you down, and it's so much to carry. And sometimes I think even when you start a company, the people that work in those companies don't really understand how much sometimes those that are owners or that manage the operation, how much they carry trying to make sure everybody is okay, you know. And sometimes someone might just say, I don't like this, I don't want to do this, I think this costs too much, I think this is too this, and they just don't know how it comes through you, and you cringe because you're trying to keep everyone happy. I mean, this is not a small operation. You got almost 30 people in here, you know, at different times. But what do you say to entrepreneurs out there that are in the struggle as we take this next step? What's some closing remarks you would give them?
Well, first of all, I would say don't try to carry it all, because there's no way you personally can fix it. So this is almost like the world of the unknowns. So, you know, because there was the other route, I didn't mention this, of trying to get so much information to understand what you basically can do, that can make it even worse. And then you get to the point where it's like, okay, now it's time to do it, and it's none of that.
Right, it changes,
It changes so much because it's so unknown. So the best thing what I did, and it took time to get to that, and I'm still trying to get through that, is to, as soon as I'm trying to go down that road, to stop it and just, you know, say, you know, there's nothing that I can do, just kind of wait it out. Keep in contact with your team or with, you know, whomever you're working with. In our you know, our case, it's, you know, different team members. Keep that engagement there. Don't fall off the face of the map.
Right.
Make sure that you do stay on top of the information, but not information overload, because it will drive you crazy. Just the news in itself, because it's varying day by day.
Right.
But and be safe. So, really think about what the ultimate consequences could be if you, did not, be safe. And, because like we had to shut down, as you mentioned, for the second time, part of me was a little bit relieved because the one thing we do know is that the numbers are going up.
Right.
So the cases, it's continually spiking. So that should tell you something. So just to, know that, okay, you're safe, you're shelter in place, it will be over soon, eventually. And then from there, you can start building with what we know.
Yeah. Well, no, that's very, very well said. And I thank you for, your commitment to, watching out and trying to make sure that the people are taken care of. And I know that the Javon's team appreciates you, and I appreciate you as well. And I think, to all the entrepreneurs out there that are in the struggle of the service industry, it really takes a lot of courage. It's going to take a lot of belief, a lot of faith, a lot of, stick-to-itiveness, I like to say sometimes, to just keep going. And we can only manage what's really real. And sometimes we have to wait to see what's real because there's so much out there that's unreal and unknown. So I just want to thank you so much for being on the show. And I look forward to maybe some future discussions and maybe getting an update at some point about how Javon's got on the other side. So thank you so much. And so we'll be right back. And I'm going to give you just a few more things before I tell you about our next show. And then we will, as always, be able to take this information we heard tonight and really begin to apply it to all you entrepreneurs out there. I know you have a story too, but make sure you're looking deeper and take some of the insights of this story and apply it to your success. We'll be right back. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. And I am so excited that I got the distinct honor to sit with my wife and just talk about real things that we are dealing with in the industry today. And I hope you enjoyed how she shared those things and the place she shared it from, all the intimate detail, because these are real things that entrepreneurs are dealing with every single day. And I just want to say to all of you entrepreneurs out there that are in the struggle, I really want you to not give up and to figure things out. Look at reinvention and how you can do things differently. That's what it's going to take for all of us to survive. And so I, again, want to remind everyone that this is, again, the time period that we need to rise up and innovate if we're going to be successful in these times. Now, having said that, before we go, I want to remind you, especially all of our affiliates out there who are always beginning to spread the word. We call these our success ambassadors that's out there spreading the word about you, our CEO. We got a special webinar just for you. And this is going to be on Wednesday, July 22nd, called Let's Talk. So all of you out there, it's a fireside chat with yours truly. And we're going to talk about a lot of things that you've been getting trained on. And so you don't want to miss this chance to learn from me as well as one another. And then our next show is a special show. And on the 27th, we're going to talk about C-Bucks, the currency of success. And when you come to that show, you'll find out why there's a new currency in town. And this time, we're measuring success. And remember, we believe success is accomplishing things while maintaining your happiness. Between now and then, make sure you get out there and let the whole world know that you are a CEO.
Yes, let the whole world know you are a CEO. You are a CEO. I'm a CEO. You are a CEO. I'm a CEO. The time is here to celebrate. You are a CEO.